Good evening and welcome to Star News Analysis. With just 4 days to go to the national elections, the entire country is abuzz with campaigns. And in the middle of all that, Tariq Rahman, the BNP chair, unveiled the party's manifesto yesterday. We'll talk about that. Also, things are heating up once again at the Chittagong port, and the workers are threatening to have another indefinite strike. We'll talk about that too. We have with us Kamal Ahmed, Daily Star's consulting editor. Welcome, Kamal bhai.
Thank you, Tanim.
So, first, I know you've been observing the manifestos of the different political parties, and with BNP, most of the major parties have come up with their electoral pledges, so to speak. Before getting into a comparison between Jamaat and BNP, I wanted to ask you, why is it that the parties are presenting their, well, at least the two main parties, they're presenting their manifestos so late in the campaign?
That's a question needed to be asked to them because it's really strange. After the electioneering or campaigning started, they wasted almost 2 weeks without any sort of concrete pledges to the nation. And instead, rhetorics took center stage in this campaign, blaming each other, blaming historical facts on interpretations, and also different issues on the basis of social media narratives. Whatever narratives are emerging, they're responding to it rather than explaining or putting up their party's own plans and pledges. So that's quite strange. But anyway, ultimately, we got some manifestos, major parties, as you said,
Right.
BNP, Jamaat Islami, NCP, and Islami Andolan.
All four parties. So this would also mean that up to this point, there hasn't really been a substantive discussion on what they want to do or their dreams or their aspirations, the parties at least, right?
Exactly. And even after announcement or unveiling of these manifestos, today's campaign speeches, if you follow that, you will find very little on substances, substantive discussion. And rather, most of them are actually based on rhetorics.
Okay. Moving on then. Could you maybe highlight for our viewers the main points of BNP's manifesto and how that compares with Jamaat's?
Well, in the BNP's manifesto, they have actually placed two key issues or key programs. One is family card for the most vulnerable people, entailing 2,500 taka per family, especially for the poor and vulnerable groups. Probably the number of beneficiaries will reach around 40 million or 4 crores. The second one is actually farmer card, and this farmer's card is for managing subsidy and loans. Probably this family card will help, and farmer's card also will help manage the subsidy program and also this social support, social benefit program, managing it well with transparency, with accountability. Because remember, now country is digitized. People have their digital identity cards, and with that digital identity card, you can easily link all these benefits and social services. So that's one way to see that BNP has come up with something very pragmatic and specific programs.
On the first day, in fact, when Tariq Rahman had his huge rally for his reception, he mentioned the family card and he said it would be a universal card so that there wouldn't be any scope of corruption, because if you have for a specific group, if you have this card for a specific group, then it becomes vulnerable to foul play or rent seeking and so on. But since this would be available to everyone, it would not have that risk. However, does the BNP outline the finances where they will generate this kind of money? That's 40 million families, 2,500 takas each. That's a lot of money. Do they point to that direction?
They didn't, but remember, there is a already an idea floated on the part of the civil society organizations. You know that the Forum for Sustainable Development Bangladesh, there is a civil society organizations, their coalition.
Right.
They put up a program which is alternative manifesto, you can say that. And in that manifesto, they projected that they can introduce universal minimum pay for everyone in Bangladesh, every adult family person
Right.
or per family, taka 4,000 per month, universal minimum income or guaranteed income. And they projected that will require 40,000 crore taka.
Okay.
BNP's program
That's
is
lower than
much
that.
lesser
Yes.
than that.
Yeah.
So probably there is room, and probably that will be more
Okay.
pragmatic than the
Good.
aspirations
Great.
projected
So,
by the
as you
civil
said,
society.
these are the two main programs you would highlight: the farmer card and the family card. And if there were similarly, if there were 2 or 3 highlights of the Jamaat manifesto, what would you say they were?
I will come to that a little
Yes.
bit later.
Okay.
Just picking up from your corruption issue. Jamaat is exploiting on corruption issue because you know BNP was in power before, though
Yes.
18 years back, but they are sort of entangled with lots of corruption allegations, especially on social governance issues. There were lack of accountability, lack of transparency, and overall, the party has been blamed for this kind of financial irregularities against leaders of all these parties, cadres, leaders, different stages. So this is Jamaat's allegation against BNP, that BNP is corruption-ridden party, and they want to get rid of corruption. So Jamaat's focus was there. In that respect, I think BNP has tried to come up with a more sort of convincing way that there will be corruption-free
So the
or
family
corruption
card
check
was
and
sort of
family
a
card and-
reply to
Yes,
Jamaat's trying to leverage the
exactly.
old allegations. Right.
Exactly.
Okay.
On the other hand, Jamaat's program, Jamaat has given very ambitious target of health, like a huge sort of, they placed tripling the health budget. They placed students loan for about 100,000 or
Yes.
1 lakh.
Yeah.
But there are little details about their financing resources, because that also require huge money.
Yes.
You know that economic growth, resource allocation depends on your economic growth, how much money you are generating, how much revenue the state is accumulating on that. It's question of redistribution. Jamaat's projection is turning this economy into $2 trillion economy by 2040.
Right.
And you wrote today
Yes.
in a newspaper that at the 7% growth rate annually, GDP growth rate, it will take up to 2014, the amount will reach only 1.3 trillion.
That's right.
On the other hand, BNP in its pledge, they promised 1 trillion economy, $1 trillion economy by 2034.
Okay.
So rather, Jamaat's one is more ambitious, more sort of not calculated everything properly. And on the other hand, BNP's one seems they have done it, their maths, and that's on their experience, based on experience. Because during BNP's regime, the average growth rate was above 5%, sometimes 6%.
Yes.
So 7% growth rate is achievable, and if 7% annual GDP growth rate is achieved, then probably they might manage that economy better.
Okay. But then if one might also argue that, is it not is it not better perhaps to have a high ambition and fail reaching it instead of having a low ambition which is easily attainable?
Yes, that's a good question. But if you give high ambitious pledges and you can't keep it, next time you will be in trouble.
Right.
So politics is always a long-term business. You have to show a long-term plan, not just if for immediate gain. If there is not a credible long-term plan, then probably people won't trust you.
Yes.
Even if they trust for the first time, then you are in trouble in the second time.
Right. Now, moving on to the port issue. The port workers are threatening once again to go on an indefinite strike. And you had mentioned, in fact, already yesterday that instead of wasting the time, the advisor, the de facto minister, rather, he should have been to Chittagong earlier and met with the people to make sure that there wasn't this kind of a problem. Now, are the workers actually upset because they weren't consulted, or are they wondering, or are they afraid of losing their jobs because it's being handed over to a foreign managing company?
Well, there might be that worry which is driving these workers towards strike action. But the problem is actually, problem lies with the government. We know that if government enters into dialogue, then probably this dialogue can bring in some sort of resolution to the dispute. And that's why there were 2 days, we saw 2 days pause in the agitation program. But if government tries to tackle it with high-handed tactics, then I am afraid the situation will get worse. And it will be a foolish thing on the part of the government to create such a situation where it goes out of control and affects the national election. You know, there's no time for adventurism ahead of election.
Right. And you've also mentioned yesterday that it was being hasty. There's no need to do this for this hasty decision and this hurried agreement or pushing through it. Now, it's not unusual for ports to be handled by different companies that may not belong to the country where the port is located, and that's a fairly common practice across the world. Why has it become such a big issue in Bangladesh?
Well, that's a good point. Businesses want efficient port. Businesses want faster turnaround in goods loading and unloading. Also, policymakers also want a smooth running of ports. But on the other hand, the deal which is going through, or government is pushing through hastily, is we don't know what's in that deal. This is the question of transparency. Government has not taken the nation into confidence. People need to know that for what benefit and for what cost, what would be the cost of this privatization or giving it out to the foreign operators. If government can convince the population, convince the stakeholders, then there would not have been this kind of problem. It's not only the port workers. If you see that port users, business groups, they are also opposing.
Oh yes,
there are political opposition also.
Absolutely.
All the political parties have said don't rush it through. So government need to listen to that.
Right. All right. Thank you very much, Kamal Bhai. That will be all for this evening. By the way, the country is reporting the first Nipah death from Noga, and we would request you to refer to your health advisors, health advisory, and talk to your doctors. Do be careful and stay safe till tomorrow. Good night.